everybody? TC here with Smoky Mountain Knife Works, smkw.com. Of course, you know that. It's us. That's why you're here. Now, we've got another blade steel video for you. Lacy Lace, I promise you, S60V is coming. It's another one that I've got to redo because of audio issues, but it is coming, I swear. However, this one is going to be to answer some questions that we've had in our comments. We've done a video on Damascus before, but we've gotten some questions recently, in particular, that we want to address, and some myths that we want to dispel. So, before we get started, though, just a little bit of housekeeping. If you're here, if you like this video, whether it's now or at the end of the video, it doesn't matter. Be sure to smash that thumbs up button. It really helps us out more than you know. Also, subscribe to our channel. Ring that notification bell while you're doing that, and that way you'll know when we drop new videos and show you really cool stuff like this. Now, without further ado, let's light that Damascus up. All right, folks, Damascus. There's always a ton of questions about Damascus, how it's made, what it's made out of, what makes it so special. And first off, I want to go ahead and dispel some myths, because there's a lot of myths that float around out there. People speak way out of turn, talking about how the Damascus these days is not the same Damascus that was made thousands of years ago, and we haven't figured out how they made Damascus back then, and it was just legendary, and it was this amazing super steel. That's a myth. That is absolutely a myth. I don't care what anyone says. No, we're not sure exactly how they made their Damascus, but the stories of how strong it was is just that. It's a legend. It's folklore. And that's what we've bought into for a really, really long time. But it's a myth. People, and I've heard people say recently that Damascus you see now is not real Damascus. That's a myth as well. That's completely untrue. So let's just go ahead and throw that out there. I don't care what anyone says. It's folklore. It's legend. It might as well be a bedtime story. You might as well be talking about the sirens that lured sailors, because it comes from the same stories. Also, we get people asking all the time, and actually what prompted this video was a question by Aluminum Crusher, and he asked, is modern Damascus better than or as good as D2? And that really depends. It's very subjective, and it depends on what you're looking for in a blade. It also depends on if you're looking for something that looks good while performing well. And there's a lot of different Damascus options out there. No two are created the same. A lot of the Damascus that's out there is not going to be advertised exactly what it is, and in most cases, those are going to be 420, 440A, something like that. There's a lot of Damascus out there that doesn't advertise what steels they use making their Damascus, and most of the time it's going to be 420 or 440A. That's typically what you're going to find. Some of them will use 440C, but usually it's going to be around 440A, something like that. Now, there are higher-end Damascus knives that are using very exotic combinations, and I've got a few here that I want to show you that we actually have in our store. The first one being this Clever Girl right here, Austin McGlawn design. Now, you've seen the Clever Girl from CRKT. This one in particular is our exclusive, and it's our exclusive custom from Austin. We're going to show that one up close and go over all the details about that one. Now, this one is the Austin McGlawn design Damascus Clever Girl. It's got the 4.6-inch Damascus Steel upswept blade. And now the Damascus in this blade is made by Alabama Damascus. And it's made up of 1075, 1095, 15N20, and 01 tool steel. So it's made up of all four of those. Those are all four layered in sheets, pattern welded together, and then folded over in on each other as they're forged and beaten into shape. So you take the plates, you weld them together, then you forge them by heating up the steel and hammer forging them all together while folding them in on themselves. And then that's why you get these gorgeous patterns like this from Austin McLawn right here. And this thing is a beautiful, beautiful version. We've also gotten a lot of people that ask, well, I don't see the Damascus pattern on the actual bevel, on the sharpened edge. So does that mean it's fake Damascus? Does that mean it's just been laser etched? No, that is not what that means. So here's the deal. Most of the time after forging, you don't see the Damascus pattern in these knives. Only after a special quench, like an acid etch or something like that, are you actually going to see the pattern in the Damascus. Most of the time, you can't even see the pattern in there until after you put it in that bath. Then, after that, is when the blade edge is actually ground and sharpened and polished. So that polishing takes away being able to see any of those patterns in the Damascus. So that, just because you can't see it on the blade edge does not mean that it is not real Damascus. Those edges can be polished, and they can be polished to a mirror polish where you can't see the layers at all. If you can, then that might be an issue to where it hasn't been ground properly and polished properly. So just because you don't see the Damascus pattern on the blade edge does not mean it is not real, and it does not mean that it is fake Damascus. Now, we've also got some really cool ones. This next one up is a very unique design, and Kenton from Boker is put together a phenomenal series of these tank knives. They're all serialized. They're all limited production. This one in particular is the Tiger Tank Damascus. And what he's done, so there is actually a graveyard of broken down tanks that have been used by militaries and in battle for a really long time. In this particular case, there were some Tiger tanks in this tank graveyard. And what has been done is they'll take, typically it's the tank track rotors. So you see the little wheels that the tank tracks run on. That is going to be the hardened steel. That is going to be very similar to like ball bearing steel, that kind of thing. It's going to be very hard. A great like high speed tool steel type thing. Let's take a look at this one up close and go over the details on it. So this one is from an actual Tiger tank. It's a 3.35 inch Damascus steel clip point blade. Now that is a mosaic pattern designed by Chad Nichols. So what they've done is they've contracted with Chad Nichols to make this Damascus pattern, this mosaic pattern. You can even see on the spine of the blade right there the Damascus pattern, and this thing is absolutely gorgeous. And a lot of work goes into these, folks. I can't impress upon you enough how much work goes into hand forging these Damascus blades. They're absolutely beautiful, and especially getting the detail like this mosaic, that takes a specific type of folding and forging that you can't just go about it all willy-nilly and randomly just start beating this steel together. So it takes very specific forging to get a blade like that. And to have a piece of history like that is really, really cool. Phenomenal idea from Kenton. Love that. Now, there's also some companies doing extremely exotic designs, just like this Heretic Colossus right here. Now, this thing, as soon as you open it up, it's very striking. And this is actually from Baker Forge and Tool. And the look is just unbelievable. Now, this is Raindrop Bronze. We're going to take a look at that up close and go over all the details on this Bronze Damascus here. So This is using a combination of a lot of different steels, 15N, 20, and 1084. It's got the bronze Raindrop Damascus right there on the blade. And then they've got a strip of solid copper as the actual shim going between the layers. Now, it's got a core of 80 CRV2 for cutting performance. And then, like I said, 15N, 20, 1084, and then the bronze Raindrop Damascus cladding right there. Just a phenomenally beautiful blade right there. Incredibly unique design, but it's still going to be an incredibly performing blade as well. And just amazing stuff coming out of Baker Forge and Tool. Love that design right there. Now, at the forefront of developing new Damascus steels over the last few years has been Damasteel. And this is an example right here. This year's sprint run from Spyderco. And this thing is absolutely gorgeous. And hopefully we can get some good detail in that up-close camera right there. So this particular Damasteel. Now, Damasteel is used to advertise a lot of knives. So Benchmade will use it a lot in their gold class knives. Damasteel does not denote one specific type. Damasteel is the company, which is copywritten and trademarked, and they've got several different versions of Damascus that they put out there. Now, this particular one is the Bjorkman's Twist, and this is in the DS93X right there. And you can actually see that on the blade, the DS93X, which was developed. So what Damasteel has done is they've taken powdered metallurgy technology and they've made Damascus out of it. So what they've done is they've made powdered steel plates and then forged Damascus out of powdered steel plates, which is a phenomenal idea. What you end up with is an extremely dense Damascus and a very strong steel. Now, the DS93X here, this one was actually developed as an excellent steel for edge tools like knives. It holds an incredible edge. It's very durable, and it's also absolutely gorgeous in that Bjorkman's Twist pattern right there. And I tell you what, Damasteel has done a phenomenal job. This is another one that you can see the Damascus pattern on the spine right there. But again, like I said, you can see the Damascus on the spine, but you can't see it on the blade edge because that has already been sharpened and polished. And if it's been done correctly, you're not going to see the Damascus pattern on the blade edge right there. Folks, that's all for me. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments down below. We really appreciate you guys watching. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. No question is a stupid question. The only stupid question is the one you don't ask. And so we really appreciate you guys' interaction. We read all of the comments. Some of them we don't respond to just because we don't feel like it. But we do read them. And I promise you, if you put something out there that you want to know about, we're going to do our best to answer your questions. So let us know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, folks. As always, it's been me, TC, here with Smoky Mountain Knife Works. And remember, if it cuts like good Damascus, then we carry.
Well, I couldn't figure out how our video equipment worked. So guess what? I'm doing this video over again. This is take 2.
Thank you, Canon. I'm just going to go ahead and say this. I went to school for audio, and it is still the bane of my existence. I've made my entire career on audio, and it is the one thing that gives me more headaches than anything else.
Wee-wee.